You ever have a day start so sideways you think, man, maybe I should have just stayed in bed? Well, let me tell you about the morning a woman threatened to take my entire house over a rooster, and I actually believed for a second she might pull it off. Yeah, you heard right. A rooster. Not a meth lab, not a party house, just one feisty Rhode Island red who liked to announce the sunrise at full volume. That's when I first met Karen, or as I came to call her, Generalissimo Clipboard. Picture this 6:05 a.m. dew so thick on my grass it soaks through my boots. There's Karen Oakmont Estates Homeowners Association president standing on my front lawn in a floral moo-moo that looks like it lost a fight with a paintball gun. Clipboard to her chest like she's about to hand down the 10 Commandments she gives me. This icy smile like the kind you'd see from a villain in a made-for-TV movie. And then she delivers the line that kicks off a 3-act war, that bird goes or your house goes. You have 72 hours to comply, Mr. Davies. After that, the fines begin, and trust me, they don't stop. The rooster in question, General, so named by my daughter, lets out a crow so bold it's like he's calling Karen's bluff. The guy's got timing. My wife and 8-year-old are still asleep in the house, and this is the 3rd time Karen's trespassed to lay down the law. But this time, there's something different in her eyes. She's got that smug certainty of someone who's never been told no, who thinks rules are meant to be bent just for her. And in that moment, standing on my own land, a place I bought after 2 decades in the Marine Corps so my family could finally have a little peace, I realized this isn't just about a chicken. It's about power. It's about someone trying to tell me my home isn't really mine. And you know, when you spend most of your adult life in places where people literally shoot at you, if you take the wrong step, you get a little touchy about your sanctuary. So I take a breath, the kind you take before a mission steady, deliberate. Karen, I say, voice flat as a Kansas highway, you're on my property. The 72-hour clock you're starting doesn't mean a thing. My rooster's legal under county and state law, and your HOA bylaws are subordinate to ag zoning on this parcel. I step forward, not threatening, just enough to make her flinch. I can see the gears turning behind those painted-on eyebrows, shock, indignation, then a simmering rage. You'll be hearing from our lawyer, she snaps, losing her sweet tea coating. She storms off, moo-moo, flapping back to her beige kingdom. I watch her go, thinking, she thinks this is about noise. She thinks paperwork and fines are going to scare me off. She has no idea who she just picked a fight with. Now, a little context. Oakmont Estates is the kind of neighborhood where every house looks the same and individuality goes to die. My place. Old 2-acre parcel borders the development well-owned septic deed that predates Oakmont by half a century. Only reason I'm in the HOA at all is a dumb 1990s covenant amendment the realtor barely mentioned. My land's a G zoned clear as day on the plat map. That rooster. My daughter's therapy animal, her anchor. Karen sees a nuisance. My kid hears hope. The next 3 days I wait for the hammer to fall. Instead of a lawyer, I get an official-looking envelope with the HOA's pretentious oak tree logo. It's a masterpiece of bureaucratic aggression, $100 a day, fine retroactive to the minute Karen stepped on my grass. They even included a mugshot of General So mid-crow. It's almost impressive how much effort she put into trying to make me crack. But you don't spend 20 years in the Department of Defense without learning a thing or two about red tape. I turn my dining room into a war room. Plat maps, zoning laws, the HOA's 128-page manifesto of thou shalt nots. Sure enough, my property's a glaring exception. A G2 zoning rooster, totally legal. HOA rules can't trump county or state law. The right to farm act's on my side. So I draft a response that would make my old JAG officer proud, polite, factual, deadly. I mail it certified, the legal equivalent of a sniper shot. That afternoon, my neighbor, David Guy, keeps to himself, walks his dog, calls me up. Hey man, I saw Karen get your letter. She stood at the mailbox for 5 minutes, just crumpled it. Never seen anyone so mad. The first shot had landed. But I know Karen. People like her don't back down. They escalate. She starts bombarding me with violation notices, my vegetable garden, my mailbox color, whatever she can invent. Fines add up in her fantasy ledger. $2,000, $3,000, all fiction. Then comes the real fun, her SUV idling just down the street watching me mow my lawn. She starts whispering to neighbors, calling me a sovereign citizen out to destroy property values. The friendly waves disappear. David warns me people are scared of her, Jack. She's been president for 10 years, holds grudges. It gets to my family. Sarah, my rock, starts worrying. My daughter comes home crying from the bus stop. Is that lady going to make us move? Will she take General? So that's the line. You come after me, fine. But you start hurting my family, you better believe I'm fighting back. So I start gathering evidence, photos of her SUV, voice recorder in my pocket, every bogus violation notice logged, and I go digging into the HOA, into Karen. County records show a pattern, liens and fines for bird feeders, basketball hoops, even holiday decorations. All roads lead to Karen. Public records show she's recently refinanced her house through a shady-sounding firm. Something about it smells off. I start reaching out to others she's burned. First is George Miller, retired widower, bird lover. Karen fined him for unapproved structural additions because of his feeders broke his heart. But when I show him my dossier, every piece of evidence, his eyes light up. Turns out she did the same to the Garcias over their kids' basketball hoop. She thrives on isolating us, picking us off one by one. Within days, we've got a secret group chat, the Oakmont Resistance. Every story's the same, trivial infractions, fines, intimidation. But together, we're not scared. We plan to show up in force at the next HOA meeting. According to the bylaws, with enough signatures, we can demand a forensic audit of HOA finances. That's our move. The meeting's packed. Karen's at the front, flanked by her nervous treasurer and sycophant secretary. I invoke the bylaws. Me and 6 others have a right to speak. Karen's trapped. We all share our stories. George talks about his late wife and the joy Karen stole. Maria Garcia talks about her son's laughter being labeled a nuisance. The room shifts. Curiosity turns to outrage. I lay it out. Where are our fines going? Why are dues rising while services fall? We submit a petition for a full audit. The motion passes. Karen's smile is gone, replaced by panic. But she isn't done. The board stonewalls our request for financials delays, throws up bureaucratic smoke. But I've got an ace, Marcus Money Washington, old recon buddy turned forensic accountant. He volunteers to dig into the published numbers. And the stuff he finds, spa days labeled as pool maintenance cruise to the Bahamas, as legal consulting, fine dining coded as board meetings. Over 50 grand misappropriated. We finally have the smoking gun. At the same time, I pull the thread on Karen's mortgage. Turns out the company that owns it is a shell, ultimately controlled by a firm where a retired general I used to serve under sits on the board. I take a shot email. The general lay out the facts. Don't beg for a favor. Just point out the reputational risk. He responds, what do you need? Sergeant Major. Within 2 weeks, I buy Karen's mortgage for $220,000 through my new company, SGM Holdings. Every month she now owes me. And right then she serves me with a final fatal notice. Her lawyer says she's filing a lien on my home for $8,000 in bogus fines. It's overreach, pure hubris, and it's exactly what I need. Time for the endgame. First, I call an emergency homeowners meeting agenda, financial misconduct, vote of no confidence. The neighborhood's buzzing. Meanwhile, my lawyer sends Karen a cold corporate letter. SGM Holdings is conducting an administrative review of her mortgage due to potential financial instability. She has to show up or face immediate foreclosure. Tuesday evening, 1 hour before the HOA meeting, Karen walks into a sterile conference room expecting some junior banker. Instead, it's me, her new creditor. Her face goes from arrogant to ashen in 2 seconds flat. I show her the mortgage transfer, then the 3-inch binder of forensic accounting. I lay out her options. Sign a resignation letter and a confession to repay the HOA, or I'll present the evidence to the board, press criminal charges, and foreclose on her house. She tries to find a way out, but there's nowhere to go. Shoulders slump, hands shaking, she signs. Her little empire of fines and threats wiped out in 20 minutes. At the HOA meeting, I announce her resignation. The crowd erupts, cheers, tears, applause. The treasurer resigns on the spot. We nominate George Miller as interim president. The healing starts right away. Basketball hoop goes back up, bird feeders declared community assets, all bogus fines voided. Karen sells her house, pays her debts. She disappears. Good riddance. Months pass. The neighborhood's different now. People wave again. The sun comes up, General. So crows his victory, and my daughter laughs in the yard. I sit on my porch, coffee in hand, watching the world I fought for finally at peace. And the lesson? The most dangerous bullies aren't the ones with fists. They're the ones who wrap themselves in rules, who think their power is real because nobody ever pushed back. But stand up, fight smart, gather your people, and watch that illusion crumble. Justice, when it comes, is quiet, sometimes just a pen and a folder in a cheap conference room. But man, does it feel good. Now here's my question for you. Where do you draw the line between rules and tyranny? When does protecting community standards become bullying? Ever face down a petty tyrant? Share your stories below. I want to hear them. Let's remind each other sometimes. The little guy wins.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.